Hey everyone, welcome back. There's so many people joining. Absolutely amazing. Welcome back. This is gonna be a fun summit. Fun. I love it when people are so engaging and asking so many questions. And you see there's like hearts and claps and hey, awesome. I wanted to introduce my friend Taylor, who is a senior SEO manager at a company called Scorpion. Amazing company. They do great stuff. Jason, you are awesome. Thank you. And Taylor is going to talk about SERP Research 101. Hey, Taylor, take it away.
Natalie, thanks so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I forget there's a bit of a delay. So I won't look for your instant feedback. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I am in Texas, so that's why I got my Stetson on. I usually do. The rooster is still crowing outside this morning, so I apologize if a rooster chimes in every now and then. But yeah, that was a fantastic session by Ponkill. Outranking is man, easily my favorite AI tool that I've tried out. And like Natalie touched on earlier, we just randomly met in a clubhouse room early this year. Oh, can everybody hear?
You know what, Taylor? At the bottom of your screen, do you see that there is HD? Can you click on it and then choose low definition? I think that's going to help.
I do, yeah. Switch.
Let's see that that's going to help.
All right, is that better?
Yes, I think so.
Maddie says yes. Quality of the video.
Continue. You were talking. You were giving the compliments.
Okay. Yeah. So we randomly met in Clubhouse and started chatting about outranking, and I dove in head first and have really loved the tool and the community around it. And when Natalie reached out with the opportunity to speak at the summit, I was all for it. So I'll get to that right about now. I have the feeling that most people here know what SERP analysis is, but if you do, enjoy this refresher. If you don't, maybe you'll learn some new stuff. So I'm going to share my screen if I can figure it out. Surely I can. All right. And Natalie, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen just fine.
Excellent. Okay, so welcome to SERP Research 101. Today I'm going to talk about steps to getting started in SERP analysis, and eventually we'll talk about how I use Outranking to perform this task as well. 3 key takeaways that I want you to leave here with are: number 1, SERP analysis doesn't have to be complicated, and it truly doesn't. I mean, there are 1,000-page books about information retrieval, but that's not what we're talking about today. Number 2, correlation doesn't equal causation, but it's a start. Everything that we see on the SERP doesn't really allude to how it got there, but it's a place to begin thinking about why it's there and how we can get there as well. Number 3, tools like Outranking make this a lot easier. And I'll talk about some of the differences in performing SERP analysis manually as opposed to using a fantastic tool like Outranking to do the job. So if you're a complete beginner, maybe you don't know what a SERP is. So what is a SERP? A SERP is the search engine results page. So when you type in, I'm going to use Plumber, New York as my example. When you type in Plumber, New York, the results that Google returns to you are the results, and that is the search engine results page. That would apply to Bing and every other search engine as well. For today's session, I'm just going to be talking about Google. That's honestly all I truly focus on. We see minimal traffic from Bing. So in the examples that you'll see coming up, they're all screenshots from a Google SERP. So one thing that I like to talk about a lot is SERP real estate. And I think a lot of people consider on SERP itself. Google increases the types of real estate, if you will, on a SERP all the time. 10, 15 years ago, it was literally just 10 blue links. Then they started adding in AdWords and other things, and now let's take a look at what we have to deal with now. So you got LSAs. Again, I'm going to use Summer New York as my example throughout. If you New York,
Taylor, you are breaking up. You know what? Can you turn off your camera and let's see if that's going to be better?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Let me see. Okay, I got my speaker. My camera off.
Jason is saying Taylor is probably like me, out in the country.
I am.
You're breaking up. Let's see. Turn off video. Can I turn off your video?
How about now? I turned off my video from here.
Okay. Yes. Now it's better.
Okay. Yeah, my signal is really bad right now. It's usually not. Oh, sorry. Okay, can you hear me?
Much better.
Okay, and you can see my screen?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so I don't know what everyone missed. I'm so sorry that my signal's so bad. Yeah, Jason, I'm in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Our signal is, let's just say I don't have Google Fi. All right, so anyway, back to SERP real estate. If you search Plumber, New York, you're going to see all sorts of things on that particular SERP. So you're going to see the LSAs, you're going to see the local pack with the map and some local listings there. Eventually, you're going to get down to the actual organic results. You're going to see a people also ask box, related searches box. In some instances, you're going to get a knowledge panel. You're going to get a videos feed. And, when you get into e-com, there are a whole nother set of possible types of quote-unquote real estate that you'll get, like popular products and shopping ads and so on. So I like to think about those pieces of real estate when I go and look at a particular SERP and think about where I want to be. And for our purposes today, and for my general purposes in my daily work, I want to be in those organic results, the 10 blue links. So this is where we're focused, right? And this is where tools like Outranking and Jarvis and all the rest, AI, are focused on building content for the most part to rank here in the blue links, right? So the pieces of this organic real estate that we're consuming and researching are the URL, obviously. That's a ranking signal. The page title is a ranking signal. I'm not sure if you're following the debacle with Google's rewriting of page titles currently. It's sort of a mess. And the description. Now, obviously, the description no longer is a ranking signal, but does and will help with CTR if that's something that you're focused on. Now, another thing that we can glean from looking at just these links is the types of pages, the types of listing that we're seeing. So obviously, this page is mixed, and a lot of times with local search results, they are going to be mixed. You're always going to see at least one or two directories pop up, and the really well performing companies mixed in there. So as you'll see, you got Yelp and you got Angie. That's pretty typical for a local service SERP. So next we'll talk about the parts of a page. All right, so we've taken a look at the SERP itself, and we've determined. So let's just say we want to compete with Right Plumbing there, the second result, because that is a company. We don't have to have insane authority like Yelp or Angie do, and this sort of goes back to what Pankil was talking about. If you have done your research and you put together enough content correctly, you don't need to worry about authority. It can be done on page and on site. So after we've determined who we want to target, or what position we want to target, if you will, we need to move on to the parts of the page. Again, this may seem like baby stuff, but again, this is SERP Research 101, so let's go through it anyway. So the parts of the page, you're going to have obviously your navigation, headers, body content, images, reviews, internal links. I don't need to read all of them. You can read on the screen. But all of these things are important in putting together your SERP analysis. And this is where we've come to the point where, do we want to do this manually? Do we want to use a tool? How are we going to scrape, if you will, all this data together from all these pages that are in our SERP to determine what we would need to reach page 1? So putting it all together, this is how SERP analysis used to work. It was just you and a spreadsheet and Google, and one by one you would determine what mattered to you, what you thought put a page on page 1 of the SERP. So you would build a spreadsheet, column by column, with URL, H1, body content, word count, try to determine what keywords they were focused on, and so on. But now, with a tool like Outranking, obviously Pankil talked about how to use Outranking AI to create content. But honestly, one of my favorite features is the SERP analysis of Outranking, because it has incredibly reduced my time in performing my research. And just the screenshot here, and honestly, I don't know. These will be questions for Pankil or Natalie as far as credits. I don't even know what credits are used for doing SERP analysis and Outranking, but it's fantastic. I don't have to manually build spreadsheets anymore. I just put in my keyword. I can put in my exact location. In this example, I just left it on United States, but I mean, you can drill down. You can I think it'll even go down to zip code. I could be wrong, but definitely by city. And you can scrape up to 30 results, which is fantastic. Gives you a bigger corpus. And you can search by mobile or desktop. And that's something else that I didn't mention. I mean, if you were to do this manually, like we did back in the day, you would basically have to build a spreadsheet for desktop results and mobile results because they're different, you know? So that's something to consider. But yeah, as you can see here, it's going to give you a minimum, an average, and a maximum of things that matter to us and things that correlate with ranking in the SERP. One of my favorite pieces of this is the highest frequency keywords. I mean, it's just incredible that, again, when I enter what I want to search for and hit submit, I get results. I get all these results in maybe 30 seconds. And I have everything that I need to go forward with producing the content that I'm going to be using. And, you know, if you have really spent your time, like Pankil noted earlier, if you've really focused on your research and where you want to go in a SERP and how you want to get there, it's going to obviously reduce your credits in using AI to write that content for you. And so that's really the end of my presentation, but I hope that you're able to see that it doesn't necessarily have to be complicated. And I don't mean just by using a tool to simplify it. You know, SERP analysis itself sounds like a complicated task, but it really isn't. If you just go search for a term and just look at that page for a few minutes and think about how they got there and what you can do, aside from, you know, a million backlinks from New York Times. Correlation doesn't equal causation, but at the start, you know, we're never going to know all the ranking factors or ranking signals that Google uses to rank pages the way that they do. But we have a lot of correlation that can lead us in the right direction, including you know, those things that you see on the SERP itself, the URL, the title, and then heading into the page itself. And obviously, I hope again, and I have not been paid by Outranking.
I was gonna say.
I just want to make that clear. I know this probably seems like a commercial for Outranking, but I promise it's not. I met Natalie and Pankil on Clubhouse. They told me about their tool. I went and started using it, and there's not a week goes by that I don't use it, just because it's my favorite way of putting together SERP analysis. There are other tools out there for SERP analysis. You know, I'll tell you, we at Scorpion, we obviously have subscriptions to the biggest digital marketing and SEO tools the world has ever built. But I still come back to Outranking on a weekly basis to pull the data that I want to use in my research. So, yeah.
Sounds
I'm going to
good.
stop
Jason
sharing.
Sounds good. Jason is inviting us to meet at his cotton club.
Oh, excellent.
Awesome. So we have really like 1 minute left, and there's one question from Joe, and Joe is asking, how long do you spend on SERP analysis nowadays?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So nowadays, I mean, I use Outranking, so I pull down the data, and most of the time I will export what I've pulled through Outranking, and you know, just go through that spreadsheet and get rid of some stuff that I'm not worried about. You know, I'm going to go delete the directories out. I'm not trying to compete with Yelp, for example. And so, I mean, to really get an idea of where I want to go, I might spend an hour or two total on a single SERP analysis. 10 years ago, that would be a week-long process. To actually go through the even just the first 2 pages of SERPs and visiting every page and looking at the word count, looking at what they're talking about, and trying to replicate that. So yeah, I mean it's decreased immensely.
Awesome. Everyone, Taylor, there's one more question that we don't have time for. I'm going to post it in the next session. Everyone join the next session and I will post it, and hopefully Taylor would get to that question, and I'll see you in the next session. Taylor, thank you so much.
All right. See you soon. See ya.